Y'all, thanks for your testimony and thanks for the research and the work that you've already done on this. Part of the challenge on whether it be watermarking, whatever it may be, is that obviously there's open platforms there for that are both Meta has produced and that also the Emiratis have produced. And obviously we don't have authority to be able to tell the Emiratis what they can actually produce for watermarking. So this becomes, or their text in that sense, so it becomes much more difficult in this process. You go back decades ago, we're researching how to build rockets and to be more effective both for space and for military use. And we understand that other countries are working on the same thing for both space and military use and to be able to determine the differences. And so we try to set limitations for that. We're in a unique position now where the PRC is also very interested in partnering. And there are current research hubs in the PRC on OpenAI that Google and Microsoft both have at this point. The question is, how far does that go and what do we engage with? And at what point does that become facilitating someone who may be an economic adversary that we hope is never a military adversary, in that kind of partnership or that kind of research? So at Meta, as y'all are dealing with this and trying to be able to think through partnerships, whether it be cloud basing with Alibaba, or whether it be actually partnerships with PRC entities for research in the area of AI, how should we approach that from the Intelligence Committee and as just a national security issue?
Thank you, Senator. This is a question I think that Dr. Ding is much more expert at than I am. Meta does not operate in the PRC for two reasons. Because the regulations in the PRC about user privacy are incompatible with Meta's privacy principles, and also because the PRC basically wants to control what information circulates. So Meta does not operate in the PRC.
Alibaba is a cloud partner, though, with Meta, aren't they?
So Alibaba has installed Llama 2 and provides it as a service on its cloud services outside of the PRC, so I don't know.
Okay. Dr. Ding, you want to be able to help us unravel this? Because this will be a larger policy issue that we've got to be able to resolve.
Yeah, I think it goes back to our conversation about U.S. investment flows into Chinese AI companies. A similar story, similar debate is happening around, should U.S. multinational technology giants have R&D labs in China? If I were to rephrase your question, like Microsoft Research Asia in Beijing, which is...
Or partnerships, or have PRC partnerships that are here in the United States, actually, and they do research together on it, knowing full well where that research goes.
Yeah, I think my take is, one of the senators earlier mentioned this idea of running faster. My take is, the U.S. can adopt one of two approaches. One is this sort of Fortress America approach, where we're like, we can't let any technological secrets leak to China. The second is this run faster approach, where we're gonna take the bet that our open economy, our open system of innovation, there are gonna be some leaks, there might be some partnerships that might allow China to get a little bit further in AI than they otherwise would have, but that partnership might also help US companies run faster. So being able to access global innovation networks and keep abreast of what's happening, not just in China, but the UAE or Israel, I think the advantages of that and continuing to maintain the openness of those global innovation networks is always going to favor the US in the long run in terms of our ability to run faster.
So you base it's going to always favor us in the long run based on what?
I think there's a couple of historical examples in this space. We had similar debates about satellites. And previously we had a lot of export controls on satellite technology. But over time we relaxed those controls because we realized, first of all, this technology is so commercially based and being driven by the commercial sector that Chinese companies were just getting satellite parts from European suppliers or other hubs in this global innovation network of satellites.
But that's already developed technology. The challenge that we have with the AI side is we're in the process of still developing in so many areas. When you form a partnership, then they're getting it near simultaneous. that's a very different issue. If you've got a satellite part, piece, or satellite as a whole that's already been developed, already used, we're already seeing copies of it, we're already seeing other innovation commercially on that, that's different than ground zero. If we're going to remain a competitive edge, having someone at the table that maybe then exporting that in real time out becomes a real challenge for us on the intel side of things and a relationship issue. It's the reason that we partner with Russia, with NASA on technology on the space station, but we're not going to partner with the Soviet Union in the earliest days of all of our work, because that's the innovation side of things. Now, while we're always innovating, it's trying to be able to protect what's first generation. Does that make sense? So that's an issue long term that we've just got to be able to determine what's the best way to be able to do that. Where do you put limitations, and how do you develop those? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.